Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. Yep, we took the Hilux out on 4x4 Adventures and we broke it. And we're going to give you some ideas of what you can do as temporary fix and more permanent repairs. Have a really quick look at the damage. So the bash plate's good, there's no damage, there's no dents, it's just scratches. There's no, this one's going to be hard to remove or refit because look, all the bolts are recessed, protected. There's nothing to be seen here, right? Other than some dirt and debris. You can see the amount of scratches and scrapes over all the rocks. Absolutely gave it a hammering. Zero bentage, so we're very happy with that. We've really got some good chunks into some tyres and stuff like that. That goes all the way around through the tyre. You know, you can see more there, so beware. Once you ruin your tyre, you ruin your tyre, okay? But it's not about that. All the way around, chunks out of the tyre. Right in the middle row there's something very sharp. This is not a tyre video. This is not a K-on underbody protection video. This is that's about all the damage really, just the side steps. If you want to see more, it's on our other channel, 4x4 Adventures, the stupidity driving, and then of course in the workshop with a bit more detail. But just thought I'd make a quick one. This is meant to be a quick one on repairs. We're going to do some repairs. There'll be a video. What are we going to do to repair this? We are going to put a brand new genuine shaft in, same as we did at the other side of the vehicle if you've been watching our 2013 Hilux build. So we kind of got lucky. This one has been a good example of what can happen if you drive like a, you know, I don't want to swear, but you know what I mean? Yeah, like a, anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Trying to come up with a good word that's not swearing, you know, you know, like, anyway, whatever. So basically, long story short, there's a number of ways to get yourself back on the road to keep you moving. Because you could be up the hill somewhere in the middle of the bush and whatever. So what are you going to do here? Well, the probably easiest option that still keeps you as a four-wheel drive is get some rags, wipe all that grease and debris out of the way, get some cutters or just rip that boot off, because you can see the stainless zip ties up on the inside there anyway, right? So that rubber boot will just pull off that cup there. We'll show you in some other videos, right? So subscribe, turn the bell on, and we'll show you in detail on the bench, and we already have, so just search our videos, CV, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point is get that crap out of the way, cut the boot away, get rid of what you can, so you're just left with this tripod. Any bits of bearings and bits and pieces, you can put those into a bag and chuck them in the bin later. Leave the tripod on the shaft. Jack up the vehicle, not by the wheel, so that this extension's at full extension. And the same way as this came out, it will go back in that cup, that tripod there, will go back in even easier because it hasn't got the bearings on it. That right in the middle of the picture there, that tripod I'm talking about, it's go back in that hole up there in the middle of the picture, right? It'll kind of only go one way, but it's going to be pretty sloppy and loose. It's going to be able to drive you in full-wheel drive. It can still come out at full extension if you load it up, so you need to be going downhill or straight ahead on level ground so that you're not flexing one side more than the other, which takes it to full extension. That's what happened here. We had the left front loaded up and the right front had nothing under it at full extension, and as the vehicle moved forward, touched the dirt a little bit, creating that little bit of pressure. Bingo, right? You can put a diff drop in to try and avoid it, right? As I said, K-on have got those front N70 front diff bracket, proper brackets, so those brackets there, that's what we're going to do, replace those. I think, that's what I'm thinking anyway, because, you know, K-on stuff's good. We'd rather do it that way than those spaces, but you can just put some spaces in if you want, or you can not take your vehicle off-road. But this is what can happen on Hiluxes. So pop it back in's the easy one. It'll be like jingle bells. It'll be loose in there, but it will allow it to drive, and it won't be spinning in there, if you know what I mean. So it'll be locked in still. You've still got the tripod there. It's just loose. There's normally 3 bearings on there. They've obviously kaflooey, they're gone, right? You might find those in one of the other videos on 4x4 Adventures, same as the YouTube channel, 4x4 Diesel, spelled the same, except Adventures instead of Diesel, and it wasn't an adventure. So you can do that. The other thing you can do is, obviously when you take it out of full drive, this isn't turning up here, so don't worry too much about that. It's just this piece here is going to be turning. You don't really want to be driving at speed with that sitting there because it's spinning. Now it probably couldn't go too far, and it probably won't, but I wouldn't be risking it personally. So as a minimum, you could, if you were handy with some sort of cutting tool, you could cut the shaft. It's very thick, hard steel, so you know, I'm just putting options out there what you could do. Or you could take the hubcap off the nut, take the shaft out, get it out of the vehicle, put in a dummy shaft if you carry a spare one, a dummy that goes on this side, right? As in, so just that piece there, previous one that you've pulled apart, like what I've got there. Let's go find one, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here we go, this is what I'm talking about, dummy shaft. Now I've got a boot sitting on there because that's my spare outer boot, because see, these are really tough, they're the genuine Toyota. So if you ever get a stick through an outer boot, you want to get a genuine one. The kit's expensive, so on your old shafts, you keep the outer boots because they're just really tough. But anyway, seeing there's nothing in there because I've got rid of it because this is my dummy shaft. So if you can be bothered working on vehicles on the side of the then you just undo your nut, take your shaft out, you pop this in. You're still not a four-wheel drive though, right? So it's great to have this, but you've just made yourself work while you're on holidays, on a day trip, you know, on having the day off on a Sunday, you know, and you got to work. That's why I say, let me explain using this, right? See what I'm talking about? So normally the bearings are this wide, right? They slide up and down in here. You can see the slide marks, right? So what you're going to have is where that tripod is, still one's going to sit there, one here. So it's not going to go in there, it's going to hit there. You've got to put where those 3 points are, like a triangle. One there, one there. So you have to line it up a little bit. But see how big this hole is, you know, as opposed to, you know, that tripod. It's just going to go in there. The point is, so it's going to slop around. It's going to go, you know, when you're driving, if you're accelerating, it'll be pushing against there. And when you back off, it's just going to sort of jingle around, you know, accelerating, decelerating, and cruising along. It might sort of, and it just does jingle a bit, right? But it does drive. So your easiest option is to pop it back in, clean up the mess a bit, pop it back in, okay? One of your options, as we said, put a dummy in. Another option, carry a spare shaft, you can put that in. But you know what? Prevention's better than having to deal with any of this, isn't it? Which is why we're doing these videos. And I don't carry these, right? This is actually, to be honest, you can see the dust on it. Look at it. The surface rust. You think I use that? Oh, there's the clean side, right? It's sitting like that for ages. Right, this one, you can see that's the dust side. Clean. They're real close. Maybe that one rolls around. But long story short, you really just want to avoid this mess, right? So there's two ways to do it. You put stock suspension in, because the stock height will be okay, or you find a manufacturer or a manufacturer's product that's only got a little bit more full extension than what you've got in there, or you know, than the stock one. You get a little bit longer, but not much, right? Or you get lucky. A lot of people get lucky, right? So we're not talking about lucky. We're not talking about, oh, I've been all right, I haven't had any problems. I'm talking about it can happen. It's happened to me twice. It happened in 2011 on my Hilux. I've been driving Prados hardcore ever since, like, you know, not hardcore, you know, absolutely every track you want, mate, you know, lockers on, lockers off, this Prado, that Prado. I've never busted a CV in a Prado, and anyone on a trip trying to keep up with it or lead the way, whichever way it is, in front of me, behind me, nobody's ever broken a CV like this, a joint on a Prado in any of our trips. I'm sure it happens, but I'm just telling you the odds. The odds are my Hilux, I break it, now I suss it all out. Oh yeah, it's too long, angles, blah, blah, blah. You want to have a look? Let's have a look at the angles at this side, right? You'll see. Look at the angle. Look at that. Right? This side's all right because it's got balls in it. It's nice and strong. That's that side, right? It's a little bit too much. Now, the other thing you got to keep into account, so you can shorten that a bit, which some people don't want to do. They want to have enough, you know, down travel. You know, it's not too bad. I mean, the Dobinson's length, it's a little bit longer than, but if you look at this one, you can see this side here, it's not even binding up near the spring, but the inside of the arm sort of just comes down pretty well in line with the coil. It's actually, I thought it's a pretty good balance, but obviously the evidence is here, it's a little bit too long. You know, you might want to shorten it 5mm type thing. Anyway, check out the Prado product. Maybe that's what you want to put in there. I just give ideas and whatever, you know, it's up to you to figure it out sometimes. The other thing that can happen is, see the mounts there? Look how it's mounted, right? It's just a pretty simple mounting system. When it's mounted, it can be actually left in a too high position. So what you can do, it's almost like a diff drop. You can loosen all the bolts, you can pull down on the diff, right? And then tighten them up again. And that can solve your problem, because what can actually happen, last time I broke a CV on the Hilux, it was the driver's side as well. And what I found then was, I found this side high. When I took a measurement of, hey, how high is the diff, what's going on here? And then I went to this side and I went, okay, well, what about that one? And I said, this one, it looks like, comparing to that angle there, you just have, let's just do this, right? I'm going to sit the camera right at the same point at each side. I don't know if it's going to work out well. It's a ballpark guesstimate, but I reckon I'm just going to tell you from what I can see, that point there, if I protrude that across, it's level with the top of that round, we'll call it the disc for the video for the sake of it, right? It doesn't look like that to you because I need to go up there like that, right? But what I'm saying is if I just hold it there so you can have a bit of a look, right? That looks either level or pointing down slightly. Let's go to this side. I can't see because the bloody thing's in the way, right? But on the other vehicle, it looked like it was up. So I loosened all this gear and it came down again, right? So didn't have it that long anyway. Just so after that, it was like, you know what? Go back to Prados, I think. But anyway, that's another story. The point is, there's your options. The other option is, yeah, diff drop. So you can put the cheap spacer diff drops, or you can get the K-on arms, which I think we're going to look into that. At the moment, first thing we're going to do is put a new shaft in there because that's what we wanted to do anyway. So it's kind of not a big deal at our side. Then I get a spare boot. We might chop up the shaft and we've got a spare outer so that we can take the nut off, pop the shaft out and put the dummy in on the tracks, or we might just not do that because we'd rather not have to do that, you know? Who really wants to do that? No, not really, right? So this is going to get a new wheel bearing and a new drive shaft and it'll be all happy again. We'll give it all a good clean up and we'll get it out there again and see what breaks next time. Anyway, guys, this is just, you know, so how to fix it? Well, if you get some old shafts like we do and keep some spares, you can just change that tripod on the end, put the bearings, put it back in the cup and with a new boot and good to go. But for us, we just put a new shaft in, to be quite honest, because it's due for it anyway. Although they weren't too bad, which was why I held off, you know. Drive shafts, you don't really need to change them as prevention. The genuine Toyota ones are really awesome. So yeah, I'd say, look, you know, maybe around the 350k mark usually. I don't know what made me think, you know, you can even see you can see the year on that one. Can you see that? Oh no, it's a part number. Anyway, now I'm talking too much crap. So thanks for watching. Hope you learnt something out of this anyway. I certainly did. And we might have another video showing you a bit more detail how to change it. But if you search CV joints on our channel, drive shaft CV, something like that, you might find a bit more detail. I think we did do a demonstration showing how to rebuild this outer joint sort of thing, so that you can fix this up. But I hope you understand what I mean with those three-way tripod there going back into the cup. That's your easiest solution if you're on the tracks. Most people can manage that themselves. Like I said, subscribe, turn the bell on, catch you on the next one, and don't forget to hit the like button so we know if you like it. And so Google and YouTube, they'll know if you like it as well, and they'll send you some more your way.